Hello, fellow YouTubers. Welcome back to YouTube Gaming Community. I'm your host, Trouble8385. Obviously, we're going into the E3 week, probably the most exciting week of the year for everybody when it comes to gaming, especially this year because a lot of people are expecting a lot of surprises. I hope that is true. I hope this E3 doesn't become a disappointment for people, that all the leaks are basically true, and that there are no surprises for people at E3. I do hope we get some surprises this year. Obviously, when you talk about the Xbox One and PS4, this is pivotal for them because, quite honestly, there isn't many have-to-have games on those systems. And if they want to continue to sell a lot of consoles, they need to do that, obviously, because, let's be honest, I'm not willing to spend $400 on a console if I ain't got no games to play, especially when, in 2 generations, the console prices have basically doubled from what they used to be. The average person can't afford to spend $400 if you don't give me games I want to play. And right now, both those consoles need to show us more. Obviously, it goes without saying Nintendo this year needs to hit it out of the ballpark. I hope they do more than the leaks. I've said this and I'll say this again. If Nintendo shows an F-Zero game for the Wii U at E3, a brand new one, I will get a Wii U before the end of the year. I don't know if I get one right away, but I will get a Wii U this year. I really want to get one right now for Mario Kart 8. But if they do an F-Zero, I will get a Wii U. And I really do hope for Nintendo's. I'll say this about Nintendo, and this is really quick. If Nintendo wants people to buy Wii U, they need to have a first-party game out for the Wii U every month this year. They need to go. Forget your scheduled. This Mario one year, Mario Kart, and Zelda the next year. Throw everything at that system. Because simply put, this year for E3 is the make or break year for the Wii U. If this year the Wii U doesn't pick up, it's a 5-year console. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm really excited to see the live stream for Nintendo on Tuesday. But our topic is one that's been going around the community for a while that I've seen a lot of people discuss. That is, are retro games too expensive? Well, of course, the other one I could go with is, I'll add this one in here too. A lot of people seem to think that we're going to hit a retro game crash, and a lot of people seem to think it's going to happen soon. And in some ways, I think that is actually a dream of people, so they can get games cheap, retro games cheap again. But honestly, let's talk about it. 7 years ago, around the time the gaming community first started on YouTube, very small, only a few people. Back then, when you watched videos on YouTube, or back when you first started collecting your retro video games again, how many of you knew the very rare games, or the rare games on those consoles? Today, with YouTube and other media, social media, you know every retro game on this console that you need to collect. You know every game that's insanely expensive. You know every game that you might have to get a reproduction cart like Stadium Events to get. You know every game out for the system that if you see it in the wild, you're going to get it. What used to, 7 years ago, or before YouTube even, games used to be dirt cheap in retro games because people thought there was no value to them, that people only collected the newest things. And so you could get them insanely cheap. Well, thanks to YouTube and other stuff and the public awareness of it, and of course eBay has obviously, good or bad, has obviously contributed to this, retro game prices have gone up. And they're going to continue to go up for several years. Now, some aren't going to go up fast as others. I mean, the NES has gone up incredibly fast, and the NES seems to be the de facto starting point when it comes to video games. Everything from comic books to baseball cards or something. There is that beginning year in baseball cards. There is that beginning, like the Silver Age of comic books, where the number ones. There's always something that is the start of it that people want to collect that becomes the most valuable thing. And for video games, it seems to be the NES. Now, the NES is not the first video game system by any stretch of the imagination. You had the Atari 2600, 5200, 7800, your television, the Fairchild. There was a lot of systems before the NES, but the NES was the one a lot of people remember playing on. It was the one that everybody had, right? And it's become the de facto. As long as Nintendo is relevant in making video games as a video game console maker, those systems are going to be relevant. The prices are going to continue to go up. Now, that does not mean the prices are not going to fluctuate. Certain games are going to go down in price. Certain games are going to go up. I mean, people are going to shift from one console to the next. Maybe when people are done collecting for the NES and the Super Nintendo, they'll move over to the Genesis. You just don't know. But there are always going to be shifts in the prices. But are they too expensive? That's supply and demand. if people didn't want that game, the price wouldn't continually go up. One of the biggest things when you talk about prices going up have been homebrew games, because there are very little runs in a lot of homebrew games, and a lot of people are sought after to get it, and the prices go up. Pure Solar would be an example. There are plenty of examples on the NES. That's just the way the market is. I don't think game prices are going to go down. Obviously, listen, every console has a ton of good games that are not expensive that you can play. You don't have to get the most expensive games. The reason why I think people are complaining about the expensive games is because a lot of people want to complete their collection. And that's just not doable, at least not buying the original game. Now, you could buy, for Stadia events, for example, you could buy a repo card of that game, or the NES World Championship game, buy a repo card of that game, and have your collection completed that way. It is the same game, it just wasn't originally made by the company who originally made it. The World Championship cards have gone insanely up for NES, despite the fact you're really not a lot you can do with it. They're timed meant for a bunch of games. It's not like it's, but the prices are still going to go up for it. So, what do you think about retro games? Like, do you think they're too expensive? I still see the prices going up. I still collect my NES because there's hundreds of games on this console that are still really cheap, that are really fun to play, and I have not collected the games I loved on that console. And some of those games have gone to be pretty expensive. And when that time comes for me to really decide what I want, that's going to be a personal decision. Do I really want to spend that much money for that game? And I don't understand why people complain about it. You can always collect the other games or move on to something else. Simple as that. But let me hear your guys' opinion. I do think some games baffle me. Like, rare games, a lot of rare games are really bad, but yet people really want them because they're rare, not because they're good. So, let's get to the videos to check out today. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the Retron 5. Obviously, a console that a lot of people have been paying attention to. The fact there's so many game consoles into it, and it's never been done before, and obviously it's been in the news. I've talked about it here on this channel before. And the first video we're going to talk about is from PatTheNESPunk, Retron 5 Game Console Review and Compatibility Test. Now, I know a lot of people made videos on this, but I picked his as one of the two videos I picked up because he goes through all the different chips and stuff, the NES chips, and tests those games, not just, I'm going to test random NES games that I like. Now, obviously, for those that know, in the Retron 5, it's well known at this point that no homebrew games work on it, that anything that has to plug into another game won't work, like, for example, Sonic and Knuckles, when you plug Sonic 3, it won't work. The other thing that's well known about the Retron 5 at this point is that none of the guns work, and obviously that was kind of because you're playing on an HDI TV, and those guns are made for CRT, so they don't work. And one of the things I think when you talk about Retron 5, one of the things about all the reviews I've seen that kind of bothers me in a way is that everybody's given the system a pass because they promise to do firmware updates, which means maybe they'll get it completely 100% compatible in the future. Like video games, when they come out, do you say, oh, well, they say they're going to patch in the future, so it's all right? No. You rip the game apart, or you say what your problem with the game is, because that's what it is now. The Retron 5 now, they promised 100% complete compatibility, which was an impossibility in the fact this thing is emulation. The only way you're going to get 100% compatibility is if you had the original hardware in the machine. But the fact that this thing isn't as close as people want it to be does deserve somewhat of a ripping. Everybody I've seen in the reviews kind of said, well, it's not 100% compatible, and there's more games that are uncompatible than I thought would be, but they're going to do firmware updates, so it's all right. That's my one thing about all the reviews on this system. But, again, they can firmware update it. Maybe they'll fix it in the future. One of the surprises was that Arkanoid does not work on the Retron 5. And the other video to check out is NES Capade's Retron 5 Playtesting Part 1, NES Homebrews, Licensed, Unlicensed, Imports, Reproduction, and Pirates. Now, he does have a Part 2 on his channel if you want to watch that after this video. But, again, he does a real good job going through a bunch of games. And, again, this is not... I didn't expect this system to be 100%. It is interesting to see the opinions of the system and see what happens going forward. I think it's funny how a lot of people have said in their reviews that everybody would only be interested in HDMI, and they thought that it wasn't everybody's complaining that there wasn't CRT on it. You could plug it to your TV. Well, a lot of people are hoping to have one console to be hooked up to their old TV, and maybe they wouldn't have to drag them all out. But anyway, check those two videos out if you want to hear about the Retron 5. They do a really good job going through it. Check it out. Now the next one is from Transparency Productions, and it is update 6/5/14. Because he's gone through a lot of stuff that I think a lot of people on YouTube have gone through, and that's hit the wall. And what I mean by hit the wall on YouTube is they're making videos, and they're continually putting out videos. And after a while, they start not liking the fact they're making videos. They don't like what they're making. They're not getting maybe the views or whatever they want. And eventually they hit the wall where they don't like it. They don't know what to do. And so in this case, he didn't say he wasn't going to stop making videos. He's just got to figure out what he really wants to do. And he points out the fact that some people know that one thing they want to do. When this happens to your channel, this is what I call the turning point. Either you leave YouTube and you never come back, or you figure it out and you continually make videos, and you'll always make videos. And a lot of people hit that wall. There's some people who completely left when they hit that wall because they decide they don't know what they want to do. They're not happy. And maybe it is you're not happy because you don't want to make videos anymore. Maybe you just want to watch videos and you don't. There's no thing saying you have to make videos. Me lately, I've been doing homebrew and retro, and I've actually had a lot of fun doing that. I kind of experimented, talking about all kinds of different stuff, but ultimately, I do like talking about that stuff. I don't think homebrews get enough attention in general in the community like they should. And so that's what I'll do. But in his case, he's just got to figure out what it is he wants to do. How much time he wants to spend in making a video, producing a video, editing a video. That all goes into it. And I always said the same thing to people when they ever asked me this question. Simply do what you love. What is that? Is it a system? Is it a genre? Is it, do you just want to talk about gaming news? Or that's simply something you have to figure out. And only you can figure that out. No one else can. Though people can make suggestions, like they may watch your video and go, man, you'd be great doing this. And sometimes that may work for you. You may find out that's the cool thing. But, talking about asking people's opinions about something, next up is SomecallmeJohnny. His video is called Viewer's Choice RPG Review. So in this case, he put up 3 RPGs that people want to review. Chrono Trigger and 2 other very popular old school RPGs. And he wanted the people to vote on which one that he would do a review on. So if you're interested in that, go check out his below. It's a really short video. Only thing on the screen is basically the 3 games you get to choose from. And go there and check it out. Actually, it might be right up here, because maybe I've put a picture of it. So, though it's probably on the other side. I just don't know why I pointed over here. And the next video we're going to talk about is from Rich Renegade. And it is Sunday Shoutout, the British Gamer Chap. So, he does Sunday Shoutout of a YouTuber that he wants to shout out. And in this case, it was the British Gamer Chap. In the video, he does a good thing showing how many subscribers he have. The British Gamer only has 381 subscribers. He covers, certain games, WoW and other stuff that he mainly plays. He covers what they mainly play, and then, of course, he did talk about the other stuff. Basically, talking about their channel. So if you just want to hear him talk about the British Gaming Champ, go check it out. Now, next one we got is an interesting topic about YouTube. It is from Geekanoids. It is, should YouTube delete the dislike button? Now, this is a rather interesting topic to me because I kind of understand why people would say YouTube should get rid of the dislike button, especially people who make videos. Because as we all know, the like and dislike button was made for people to show they approve or disapprove. And in cases where people use other people's video, like they basically make fun of people, or they do something that generally is morally despicable for a lot of people, that's when a lot of people dislike the video. Now, the like button is part of the YouTube algorithm, and then the like button is basically the more likes you get. Well, originally was the more likes you get, the further up you go up in obviously the YouTube standings and like where the video gets seen. But they use much more than that now. Not as much, one thing doesn't just make your video go up anymore, but it is part of the algorithm. And the dislike button has now become for people who just don't like you, don't like how big you are, maybe don't like the production value, maybe just want to troll you, hit the dislike button. But you can, and now people are going to say you can always, basically, if you wanted to, simply disable comments. And I always am very negative about disabling comments, because to me, that tells me that's someone who cannot stand any positivity or negativity on their video, especially negativity. Not every negative comment is a bad thing. not every dislike to your video is a bad thing. That sometimes people have real reasons for not disliking your video. They don't agree with what you say. They don't agree with what you stand for. People have a right to voice that they don't like your video. For whatever reason that may be. Sure, there's that occasional jerk that gets on your video and just completely bashes your video, but, you know, that's actually few and far between. I don't think they should get rid of it. I wish there was a better system, but I'm not sure what that better system is, to be honest with you. So, I do think people would want more feedback. I do think if you put a dislike on a video, maybe they should make you leave a comment or explaining why you dislike the video. For the content creator, that'd be a good thing. But I don't know if people would actually hit the dislike button if that started happening. So, and the next one is from BECAUSEVIDEOGAMES. And it's E3 2014 Fantasy Dream Announcements featuring you. So he did this cool thing where instead of him talking about his Fantasy Dream announcements, what he did was basically he put out there for fans to send their quick videos of it, and he put their videos together and he put it into the video. Now when it comes to E2014 Fantasy Dream announcements, mine has been quite simple. I wanted an F-Zero game on the Wii U. Period. End of story. That's mine. Simple. So if you want to see other people in the community's dream announcements, go check out the video. Some rather interesting ones. Some ones you know that people would say, like Shenmue and stuff. And the next video we're going to talk about is from MetalJesusRocks. Atari 2600 SuperCharger add-on. Was it MOAR power? Now basically the MOAR attachment to your Atari 2600 basically allows cassettes to be loaded to the system. Basically allowing for things to look better and stuff like that. If you really want to check it out, check out the video. It's a really cool thing. I've seen this thing around a couple videos in the past. It is really cool, but it's not something you see a lot or is necessarily something easily to find. So if you've never seen it and you're interested, check it out. Our next video is from Ed. And it is from his Friday pickup, good deals on rare Sega systems and a few games too. So, he did pick up a lot of Sega stuff. This is one part of his two-part pickup video, but this time mainly Sega stuff. And in this pickup video, he got two consoles. The first one is the CDX, which a lot of Sega collectors would like to obviously play the Sega CD games. And the second one he got was a LaserActive. Now, the LaserActive was basically a Laserdisc player that also could play Sega Genesis and Sega CD games. But in this LaserActive, we got actually the Laserdisc don't work, but the Sega CD and Sega Genesis does. Really big. If you've never seen either one of these, plus you got some cool Sega game pickups, go check out his video. And the next one is from JurassicJunkie. It is vlog, the reason I'm not filming, we moved. So basically he moved from one place to another. He explains why he's moving. He actually shows like his old house, kind of walking around while he's talking. At the very end, you do get to see a little bit of the new place. But try to explain that he's not, making videos because they're moving. And it's always, in a sense, moving's cool because now he gets to make an all-new game room. Maybe it's bigger, maybe it's better than the one before, right? Sometimes when you make something and then you move somewhere else, sometimes you realize, you know what, I really should have improved on this. But anyway, if you're saying, well, why would I want to watch a video about his house? Well, in this video, he also talks to his opinion of Rayman Origins and Watch Dogs. So, go check it out. I don't know why after every video I say go check it out. You've already decided if you want to check it out or not. And next up is GameSack. GameSack the 3DO. I picked this video simple. They're covering the 3DO. One of my favorite consoles that I used to originally own. Something I do need to get again. Something you don't see very much in the wild anymore, at least not around where I'm at. But someday I will have a 3DO. But they do a really good job not only covering the system itself, the specs of the system, but the games on the system. Now, when I had a 3DO, to be honest with you, the games I loved on the system, I loved Shockwave and Shockwave 2. Well, actually, Shockwave, there was an expansion for it, and then Shockwave 2. I loved those games in the system. I loved the Road Rash on it, Need for Speed. And Psychic Detective was a really funky game. It was a mature game made by EA, actually, for that console. A really funky game that had multiple endings. You're trying to determine, was it who murdered somebody? and you're psychic, so you kind of go into people's minds and read their thoughts and stuff like that, and based on the choices you made, based on what outcome you have. But do a really good job. If you ever had a 3DO or want to see somebody cover it in great detail, that's definitely a video to check out. And the last video of the day we're going to talk about is actually a puppet movie. Yes, you heard me, a puppet, or would it be a plushie movie? Anyway, you'll have to decide when you go there, because it is from SuperMarioLogan, SML movie, Bowser Jr.'s Summer School. So, this is a rather funny kind of comedy. Now, depending on how your comedy is, depending on how much of this you think is funny. But in this case, it's basically with plushies and actually puppets. Basically, Bowser gets his report card and he fails everything but attendance. And he's afraid to show Bowser his dad. And so he goes to a bunch of people trying to figure out what to do, how's he going to do it. And ultimately, he shows it to his dad, and then he ends up having to go to summer school. So, depending on how your level of comedy and stuff, it is actually nicely done. It is actually shot in a school. So, just an interesting thing that most people wouldn't do, which is use stuffed animals and puppets and make a little short movie. Or a short series, really. This is more, there's been more than one, he's made more than one movies like this on his channel before. But if you're interested, definitely go check it out. I found it very entertaining. So anyway, guys, that's all for this week. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys check out the videos I talked about. If you want to leave a comment about anything I talked about below, just leave a comment. Any feedback would be very well appreciated. And like always, I will talk to you guys later.